All right, leave me in.
Online, when I reviewed the paperwork, it said paper.
Call this meeting of Board of Supervisors together. Pledge allegiance, led by Supervisor Brooks.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk to do the roll call.
Mr. Conover?
Here.
Mr. Mayday?
Here.
Mr. Diamond?
Here.
Ms. Gilligan? Here. Ms. Turner?
Here.
Mr. Bruno?
Here.
Mr. Driscoll?
Here.
Mr. Patchett?
Here.
Mr. Drossy?
Here.
Mr. Bean?
Here.
Mr. Cressida?
Here.
Mr. Merlino?
Here.
Mr. Stroud?
Here.
Mr. Wild?
Here.
Mr. McGowan? Mr. Strainer?
Here.
Mr. Etu?
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Ms. Runyon? Chairman Garrity?
Here.
Quorum is established.
I'd like to welcome everybody today and I also would like to welcome our extinguished mayor from the city of Glens Falls, Mr. Collins. Welcome, Bill. I need a motion to approve the April 19th board meeting and the May 2nd board workshop meeting. Motion by Supervisor Diamond, second by Supervisor Bruno. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is our honor to give the Employee of the Quarter Award. And this goes to a gentleman who's been around this center for a long time. And I'm pleased to announce that this quarterly award goes to Frank Lehmans, who works in the Buildings and Grounds Division. And I'll ask that Frank step up and Kevin and his cohort get up and would you like to say a few words about Frank?
All right, thank you very much. Frank, fortunately, but unfortunately, is going to be retiring at the end of this month. After 20 years of being with the Buildings and Grounds Department and 9 months in other divisions. He's going to be sorely missed, and I don't think we quite know by how much until he's going to be gone. So we're kind of hoping we can bring him back part-time since he really is just going to be going home to go home. So we're just going to try and bring him back. But Frank, I can't say enough words about him. He is the quietest person, but the most honest and true. If you ask him to do something, he does it. He does things above and beyond without asking him to do them. He finds things to do, and he's kept us going basically, as you guys know, for the last 20 years. With me, it's been for 3 years, and he's going to be sorely missed when he does go. So thank you very much.
I don't know if there's much that I can add on about that, except that when I started here in 2008, as Scott just said, there's not a thing that you could ask Frank that he wouldn't do for you. And I can say he's touched, since I've been here, just about every single department with something or another, whether it's an outlet, whether you all couldn't get in because the security system or the fobs wouldn't let you in. That was Frank making those fixes. I recall that we had a fire here back in 2007 in one of the panels. Frank was the one that worked with the electricians to get that back up and running here at the county center. As Scott said, he will truly be missed. And I don't know what we're going to do. I'm sure there's a couple guys that are going to step up. I know Frank's been mentoring a few of those, but he definitely deserves this. He probably deserved this every single year he was here, an employee of the month or employee of a quarter. And he will sorely be missed here at the county. So Frank, thanks for everything.
No, I just wanted to say that I was happy to do it. Really, I kind of looked at this place as like my home. And I treated everything like it was my own to take care of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll open up the privileged floor, public comment on anything, anybody wishing to address the board.
I hear it again.
Okay, next we'll do reports and I'll start with my report. In April, I attended most of the committee meetings. Also had the privilege of going to crime victims ceremony at Lake George Elementary School. Very moving ceremony this year, as they always are. On the 25th, we hosted Intercounty here. where we had a presentation about the Regional Forensic Center. And it was very enlightening. I think we had, what, 10 or 12 other counties here?
Mhm.
And so we did make a presentation, very good presentation by the DPW group. And then more committee meetings. And then on May 6th, John and I went down to City Hall, met with Mayor Collins. We had a really good meeting. And then on the 8th, attended the Finance and Budget Committee meetings. And that's it for my report for this month. Mr. Bruno.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The county facilities met on Friday, April 26th at 9 a.m. Various items discussed. One regarding the airport, the air show will hopefully occur in 2026. Superintendent Hajo, some others are working on that, and there'll be more to follow regarding that. Referral and pending items. We talked about design updates for the front entrance of the municipal center. And once the court expansion project is complete, it'll be determined how much funding would be available. Start working on that. So that'll be in the near future. The magnetometer that we talked about at the entrance of DMV, the undersheriff has talked to several different software companies, et cetera, and we'll be we've looked at one of those, I believe, and we'll be looking at more. The one we looked at was fairly expensive, so again, more to follow on that. And additionally, we discussed the Joseph Warren Museum, which we will be talking about at this meeting, and that concludes my report. Our next meeting is next Wednesday at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. The Human Services Committee did not meet last month, but we will be meeting this month, this coming Tuesday, May 21st, on or about 9:50 a.m. Since the last board meeting, I've had the opportunity to attend a couple of events at SUNY Adirondack, the crime victims event up in Lake George that the chairman mentioned, a Glens Falls Common Council meeting. And last night I emailed a monthly report from DSS Commissioner Nina Mastriani to each of the members of the county board. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Supervisor Patrick.
I have nothing.
Supervisor Durant.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Criminal Justice, Public Safety and Emergency Services Committee met on April 23rd. We had a very brief agenda. As a result, there's just two resolutions before you today. 157, that's appointing EMS advisory board members for the county. And 158 is an agreement for the probation department for an electronic monitoring services. Our next meeting is 9 a.m. on May 21st. Thank you.
Supervisor Bean.
Nothing to report.
Supervisor Cressida.
I have not chaired a meeting yet, but I know out of real property, there were no real property tax corrections processed in the month of April. That's all I have to report.
Okay. Supervisor Molina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Parks O&M Committee, you have one resolution 164 authorizing an agreement with MG Engineering to consider the design for the Charles R. Wood Park. That's the only part on there. On tourism, there's 165. It's authorizing agreement to distribute 2024 occupancy tax revenue, and one is under the Glens Falls Mural Garden. 166 is to create the service of graphic design and video products and TV placement, communications and photography. And that's all we have for tourism. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Shaw.
Yes, the Legislative Rules and Governmental Operations, on May 2nd, there is one resolution from outgrowth from that committee. It's resolution number 163. And it's to execute an amendment agreement with Clear Ballot Group to add additional 7 ClearCast scanners and for an increase to not exceed $554,789. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. May 2nd, Personnel Higher Education Committee met. Before you are 4 resolutions, 167 to 170. 167 is Public Works. It's relating to fiscal managers, the new position as well as a temporary position. 168 is appointing the assigned council administrator. 169 is the county attorney being authorized to settle a claim. And 170 is workforce development. This is for our summer youth programs. And I would appreciate the board's approval and support on all those. Just one other note, on this past Saturday, I did attend the SUNY graduation. It's amazing when you sit there and you watch the future talent that's coming from this institution. And I'm, for one, very happy to be part of the support that the county gives them, as well as being there on the podium, which was always interesting addressing the crowd. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I'm all set.
Supervisor Schreiner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Health Services met on April 23rd, and from that, we have Resolution 162, which is to distribute ARPA funds money to the Wade House for the homeless and the mental health. That will be a roll call vote. And other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. Supervisor Yutu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On April 26th, Economic Growth and Development met. We have 3 resolutions before us today. 160 is a resolution of, for us as a board opposing state legislation that proposes to consolidate 109 local IDAs into 8 to 10 regional IDAs. Our counterparts in Saratoga County unanimously passed a resolution opposing this last month. And some of us, Mr. Bruno, Mr. Taplin, I think are on the board. Maybe could answer questions later during discussion of the resolutions if necessary. We meet again on May 22nd. Thank you.
Supervisor Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we all know, the board met on May 2nd. And at the appropriate time, we discussed the Joseph Warren Museum, and at the appropriate time, I will move to withdraw resolutions 142 through 148. Finance and Budget also met on May 2nd. Resolution 155 is supplemental appropriations. 156 amends the 2024 county budget. 171 is for the Board of Elections. It authorizes $50,888 from the Electric Equipment Reserve, A 898. And that's for the cost of the 7 ClearCast scanners. Resolution 172 is from the county administrator, and that's to authorize an agreement with Civic Plus LLC to provide practice management software and support for the FOIL process. And that's not to exceed $10,806 for the first year, with an option for 2 additional years, provided there's not more than a 5% increase. Resolution 173 appropriates funds from the Vehicle Reserve, A 896, $165,647 to Fleet Management, Public Health, Social Services, Countryside, and Veteran Services. And that's to cover the cost of replacement vehicles. It also amends the 2024 budget. Resolution 176 is establishing county road projects for a total of $3,770,955.17. That was it for May 2nd. Then we met again on May 8th, and that was a discussion about the ARPA funds and where we're at with the ARPA funds. Some organizations have spent most of the money. Some haven't spent any. But the money has to be obligated by the end of this year. So out of that meeting came resolution 174, which amends resolution 180 of 2023 to rescind future unspent ARPA funds from being allocated to the Office of Community Services. Resolution 175 is authorizing reallocation of unobligated ARPA funding to Warren County. And resolution 177 was, that was for OES, to give them permission to submit a grant to the Department of Public Health for $20,000 for county emergency medical services support. And the next meeting will be on May 30th. And there'll be a demo of the ClearGov budget program. And there'll also be discussion about the sales tax. So that's my report.
Supervisor Conover,
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Mayday,
No report.
Supervisor Diamond,
No report.
Supervisor Gilligan,
No report.
Supervisor Kern.
Yes, on May 2nd, I attended a town hall meeting with, our Assemblywoman Carrie Warner, Glens Falls Assemblywoman Carrie Warner, and with Mayor Bill Collins. And they did a terrific job of letting us know exactly what was happening at the state level and at the city level, with DRI funding with the city. And, then on May 9th, I was proud to attend the Ascend Health and Wellness Ceremony, where the Board of Supervisors received an award for the work that they did with the ARPA funding last year. That's the end of my report.
Okay. Report of County Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, there were numerous this last month prep sessions and meetings on Joseph Warren Museum and also the Regional Forensic Center. 25th of April, Chairman mentioned the inter-county meeting. Where we are with that, I believe, is we've committed to the other counties that we'll send out a copy of our feasibility study. And DPW is going to revise some of the points in the feasibility study and a copy of the presentation. And at the July inter-county meeting, we'll go forward if we believe we have a business case to present to them to get their support for the capital project, we'll do so. I've already gotten some indications from county administrators that they're not sure that they're on board for committing to a capital project, regardless of whether they'd like to have the Regional Forensic Center as a service they can use. But they're going to they'll withhold a decision on that until they see our feasibility study. So we'll try to get that out to them this month. 30th of April, met with the Lake George Convention and Visitor Bureau to discuss multiple items. I'll bring some of those to the next Tourism and OCTAX Committee meeting. 30th of April, we had our 6-month check-in with Undersheriff and also with Julie Butler Purchasing. With the SPCA upstate New York, we did our just 6-month check to see how it's going. They've made dramatic improvements from what we saw when we first went there, probably about 8 months ago. They're fulfilling the terms of the contract. They're providing training to our patrol officers, and they're focused entirely on animal cruelty, with the exception of some animals that they get from various dog wardens throughout the county from periodically, but they charge for those services and they move those animals as quickly as possible. So not a lot of animals at SPCA. They're no longer in the adoption business. So on the 2nd of May, met with the members of the Winter's Dream Coalition to discuss the past season results. They have now delivered their final report to the Tourism Department. Noteworthy to me that I did not realize, and I think many of us probably didn't, the Lake George community contributed over $2 million to this project, in addition to the funds that they received from occupancy tax. So it wasn't just entirely on Warren County to fund the event. They all stepped up and did some contributions, and that's going to be in the report. I think it's, and we'll make sure we get a copy distributed when they're ready to say this is the final copy. On the 6th of May, the Warren County 2040 Project Advisory Group met, and we're at the final portion of the phase 1 of our comprehensive plan. The current status is we will brief at the June Economic Growth and Development Committee the status of phase 1, where we think we are before we move into the strategy development. We'd appreciate your guidance on some issues. So we'll schedule that for the June meeting. Encourage any supervisor who can to attend.
And we'll determine at that time if we think it makes sense to go to a board workshop and talk over it at a workshop. 8th of May, Finance and Budget Special Meeting to discuss ARPA. And Frank has talked about that, Supervisor Thomas. So employee anniversary dates. I generally don't go below 20, but our own Amanda Allen has 18 years this month. So we're hoping she can stick with us and get to 20. So we also have Supervisor Thomas at 21 years. So
Wow.
thanks, Frank.
Year and a half to go.
With 23 years, Paulette McDonald, the District Attorney's Office, and with 28 years, Al Mayday at the Sheriff's Office, who is related to our supervisor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
Okay. Who's the good looking Mayday? You or Al?
I won't say, he's bigger.
Report of County Attorney.
Thank you. There is only one issue that I look to address to the entire board this morning. And that issue comes out of and as a result of the personnel meeting that was held on Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. Based on the meeting minutes that have been published online, the committee took a vote to go into an executive session during that meeting. And during that meeting, there were certain matters discussed. You know, the shorthand is called personnel, but the matters leading to the appointment, discipline, removal of a particular person, matters that are sensitive in nature. The executive session was also entered into for the purposes of discussing and providing attorney-client communications on litigation matters. It came to my attention that within 72 hours of that executive session, information that was provided only to supervisors who were present in that personnel meeting was appearing on the internet, which means the confidentiality of the executive session was violated by some individual who was present in that meeting. Now, based on the meeting minutes, 6 of the 7 members of that committee were present, and some additional supervisors were present as well. I addressed the importance of executive session with the prior board when an issue arose regarding confidentiality of information provided during such a meeting. And I raise this again to ensure and make it clear that what matters are discussed in an executive session are confidential, which is why there is an executive session. And that members of this board should not consider themselves entitled and empowered to share that information with any other individual. Not a neighbor, not a constituent, not a spouse, not a sibling, not a coworker. The information is confidential. And the concern it raises is while it had to do with a quote unquote personnel matter of a particular person, other matters were discussed of an attorney-client privilege in that meeting. And it impacts the ability of this county and you as individual supervisors to get clear, concise, accurate, and direct legal guidance if the county attorney does not have confidence in the members of this board to keep confidential and restricted information that's provided to them in an executive session. There's no other topic that's going to come up while I'm county attorney that's going to get me as frustrated and concerned about the well-being of Warren County as the ability to communicate truthfully, openly, honestly, timely, directly with each of the members of this board and each of the members of the committee when you're sitting in your committee assignments in executive session and when we're sitting as a board in executive session. The overwhelming area of issues that come up are solely for the decision of the committees and the board of supervisors as a body. When it comes to an attorney-client privilege communication, which thankfully was not the information that was released. But when it comes to an attorney-client confidential communication, let me be very clear that the only authority to release or waive that privilege would be a majority vote by the Board of Supervisors, because it's the Board of Supervisors as a body that I report to and that I serve as a client. Meaning the Board of Supervisors is my client. So I ask as directly and plainly as I can that each of you remember the confidentiality of information in any executive session, and then you hold true to it. I can address this matter if it needs to be addressed further at the Personnel Committee, along with an update on litigation matters. And that's my report for the month. Thank you.
Reading of communications.
We have the April 2024 County Auditor's Real Property Tax Correction Report and the Commissioner of Jurors Annual Jury Report for 2023.
Okay, reading of resolutions.
Proclamations number 19 through 21, the mortgage tax report, resolution numbers 143 through 148, which were tabled from the April 19th, 2024 board meeting. Resolution numbers 155 through 177, one certificate of appointment, and floor resolution numbers 1 through 6 were posted to the Warren County website and distributed to the members of the Board of Supervisors on Friday, May 10th. The proclamations before you are number 19, Lyme Disease Awareness Month, number 20, Military Appreciation Month, and 21, Physical Fitness and Sports Month. A motion is needed to bring floor resolution number 1 to the floor.
Do we have a motion for resolution number 1? Motion by Supervisor Bruno, second by Supervisor Merlino. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Floor resolution number 1 will now be 178. Motion to bring floor resolution number 2 to the floor.
Motion to bring number 2, Supervisor Stroud. Do we have a second? Supervisor Casito. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Floor resolution number 2 will now be number 179. Motion to bring floor resolution number 3 to the floor.
Motion to bring 3. Supervisor Bean. Second by Supervisor Gerasi. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Floor resolution number 3 is now 180. Motion to bring floor resolution number 4 to the floor.
Motion to bring floor resolution number 4 by Supervisor Wild. Do we have a second? Supervisor Bean. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Floor resolution number 4 is now resolution number 181. Motion to bring floor resolution number 5 to the floor.
Motion to bring floor resolution number 5, Supervisor Driscoll, second by Supervisor E2. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Floor resolution number 5 is now resolution number 182, and motion to bring floor resolution number 6 to the floor.
Floor resolution number 6, Supervisor Bruno. Do we have a second? Supervisor E2. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Floor resolution number 6 is now resolution number 183.
Okay. Does anybody at this time have to recuse themselves from any resolutions in front of the board today? Seeing none. Public comment and discussion on proposed resolutions. Anybody from the public or anybody from the board like to talk about any of the resolutions in front of you? Supervisor Thomas.
Yes, at this time, I'd like to put forth a motion to withdraw 142, 143, 144, 145, 146, 147, and 148.
Okay, we have a motion to withdraw resolutions 142 through 148. Do we have a second on that motion? Second by Supervisor Molino. Any discussions on the motion? Supervisor Thomas.
And I would like to reference the letter. Also, I think everyone received it from the Warren County Historical Society.
Okay. Supervisor Wild, do you have discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, instead of withdrawing, would it be reasonable for us to consider some different options for this, especially for next year, temporary options, to see if we get the cost down to make this happen, or maybe some alternative site, just to keep things moving forward. So I would like to offer a motion to, instead of withdrawal, but to table.
They are currently tabled, so the resolutions were tabled from last meeting
Yeah,
to this meeting.
The motions, the resolutions were tabled at the last meeting, so I think this is the proper parliamentary procedure.
You could always bring them
And
back
if you
to
want to
committee.
bring something back at a future date, you could.
Thank you.
I can.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to bring that up in my comments and I skipped that because we talked about it. But we've had discussions with Mr. Newell, Shane Newell, who has the collection. His indication is he wants to work with the Warren County Historical Society to come up with some kind of alternate arrangement. He's not ready to relinquish any of the items external to the Warren County Historical Society. So right now, I think the next steps for us are to have a meeting, discuss what could be a possible way forward, come up with some options that we would bring back to the board for discussion. We bring back to the committee first and then later to the board. So we're not just completely dropping it, but we're going to look for additional options. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Casino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have we exhausted the option of coming up to Lake George? I know they had a meeting last week. I know Mr. Newell, Shane Newell, told me those concerns. Is there anything we could do to adjust, or is it the placement of where the collection was going? Is it the time it was going to be there? But just so you know, we're willing to work with you and work with the association and Shane Newell to try and accommodate it if it helps.
Okay, thanks.
I don't, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't believe that option is off the table yet.
Okay.
What needs to be determined is what historical society is going to manage that collection. So we'll work on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Discussion on withdrawing resolutions 142 through 148? If not, all those in favor of withdrawing resolutions 142 through 148 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next, request for roll call votes on any resolutions. Supervisor Thomas.
Resolution 163.
163.
Yep, should be 1 day voting paper, hand counted. Signature verification.
Any other discussions on roll call votes?
We don't need machines.
Any other roll call votes? Supervisor Wild.
Mr. Chairman, it's not a roll call vote, but as a result of our board workshop meeting on the 2nd, this board had an executive session. And what I'd like to do is offer a motion later on today, somewhere later in the program, that we can still get together and have a brief personnel executive session.
We could do that after we vote on resolutions. Soon. Any other discussion on resolutions? Supervisor Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 167, please.
167 roll call. Yes.
Okay. Just a couple questions. One is we're creating 2 new positions.
Oh,
Are they
You
current?
have a question on this?
Yes.
Okay, what?
Looking at the resolution, it looks like we're creating two new positions. Are they currently funded in the 2024 budget?
DPW?
Yes.
So we are creating two new positions. One's going to be a temporary fiscal manager. The other one will be, because we already have a fiscal manager in a position, it'll be called fiscal manager number 2. I do have funding available in the budget to cover it. But once my fiscal manager who's in there right now retires, that position will be eliminated.
That's fiscal manager number 1.
That's correct.
Okay, and how long is the temporary position?
We expect that it'll get us through budget and that'll be the end of it.
And that temporary position will disappear at that point.
Yep.
So we'll just have the fiscal manager number 2.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And then to clarify that as well, because we had two fiscal managers, we had to go with fiscal manager 2, but once the fiscal manager 1 is deleted, fiscal manager 2 will become the fiscal manager and 1,
As
basically.
long as we don't go to fiscal manager 3.
No.
Not to exceed $14,000.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or discussions on resolutions? Are you ready? I guess we're ready to vote on resolutions.
Okay, resolution number 155, making supplemental appropriations. Mr. Bruno?
Yeah.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Patchit?
Yes.
Mr. Drossy?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Crusito?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
yes,
Mr. Wild?
Yes.
Mr. Strainer?
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Mayday?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution passes with 896 votes in favor. Resolution number 156, amending Warren County budget for 2024 for various departments within Warren County. Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Patchit?
Yes.
Mr. Drossy?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Crusito?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
yes,
Mr. Wild?
Yes.
Mr. Strainer?
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Mayday?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution passes with 896 votes in favor. Resolution 162, authorizing ARPA funds disbursement to Waite House and amending Warren County budget for 2024. Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Patchit?
Yes.
Mr. Drossy?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Crusito?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
yes,
Mr. Wild?
Yes.
Mr. Strainer?
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Mayday?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution passes with 896 votes in favor. Resolution 163, amending agreement with Clear Ballot Group, Inc. for the purchase, license, and maintenance of voting machines and software for the Board of Elections to add an additional 7 ClearCast scanners and increase the not to exceed amount of the contract. Mr. Bruno?
No.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Patchit?
Yes.
Mr. Drossy?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Crusito?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
yes,
Mr. Wild?
Yes.
Mr. Strainer?
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
No.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Mayday?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution passes with 839 votes in favor. Resolution 167, amending table of organization and Warren County Salary and Compensation Plan for 2024 to create positions within the Department of Public Works. Mr. Bruno?
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Patchit?
Yes.
Mr. Drossy?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Crusito?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
yes,
Mr. Wild?
Yes.
Mr. Strainer?
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Conover?
Yes.
Mr. Mayday?
Yes.
Mr. Diamond?
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chairman Garrity?
Yes.
Resolution passes with 896 votes in favor. Resolution 171, authorizing appropriation of funds from the Elections Equipment Reserve to the Board of Election budget to cover the cost of 7 new ClearCast scanner voting machines and amending 2024 Warren County budget. Mr. Bruno?
No.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Patchit?
Yes.
Mr. Drossy?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Crusito?
Yes.
Mr. Merlino?
Yes.
Mr. Stroud?
yes,
Mr. Wild?
Yes.
Mr. Strainer?
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
No.
Mr. Conover?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 839 votes in favor. Resolution 173, authorizing the appropriation of funds from the vehicle reserve to the Department of Public Works budget, Department of Health Services budget, Department of Social Services budget, Countryside Adult Home budget, and Department of Veteran Services budget. Mr. Bruno,
Yeah.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Cristito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
yes,
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 896 votes in favor. Resolution 176, establishing 2024 road fund projects and amending Warren County budget for 2024. Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Cristito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
yes,
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
I was pleased to see we know which communities the money's going towards, so I will vote yes.
Resolution passes with 896 votes in favor. Resolution 181, authorizing appropriation of funds from the general fund unappropriated fund balance to the transfers interfund transfers account for the workforce development budget and amending the Warren County budget. Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Cristito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
yes,
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity. Resolution passes with 896 votes in favor. Resolution 183, amending Warren County budget for 2024 for the Workforce Development Department. Mr. Bruno,
Yes.
Mr. Driscoll,
Yes.
Mr. Patchit,
Yes.
Mr. Drossy,
Yeah.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Cristito,
Yes.
Mr. Merlino,
Yes.
Mr. Stroud,
yes,
Mr. Wild,
Yes.
Mr. Strainer,
Yes.
Mr. Etu,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Conover,
Yes.
Mr. Mayday,
Yes.
Mr. Diamond,
Yes.
Ms. Gilligan,
Yes.
Ms. Turner,
Yes.
Chairman Garrity.
Yes.
Resolution passes with 896 votes in favor. Just need a collective on the rest.
All those in favor of the rest of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Okay, we'll go back to privilege floor and public comment on anything else. Yes.
Just very quickly, thank you to the supervisors, who were able to attend the, Ascend Mental Wellness. Thank you to, the Warren County Board of Supervisors. I had the privilege of just kind of representing and making some brief comments, and I wanted to make sure that, we thank the individuals, who served on the ARPA committee over the past few years, especially our two chairs, co-chairs of that committee. It was really a experience of government working the way it should be. Comprehensive meetings, opportunity for the public to weigh in on the process. A board made up of committed people from both government, business and community leaders. And there was an article in today's Post-Star, this morning's Post-Star. The reporter is here with us today. There was a picture of the people who from the board who were able to make it. I looked like I had just cleaned out my basement, but and I heard that from my wife. But again, it was I think an example, and all the agencies that received the funds are agencies who hit home runs and really impact the lives of individuals from all of our neighborhoods. So thank you again for the opportunity, and thank you for Ascend for recognizing Warren County Board of Supervisors. And John.
Anybody else? That's right, sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a few things here. Recent letter to the editor. For those of us around the board many years ago, the Supervisor Bill Kenny, who was just sitting in the seat where Ben Driscoll is, they're going to have a celebration of his life on June 29th. Bill was a supervisor here for many years. He was one of the first, I think he might have been the first occupancy tax chairman. For those of us that remember Bill, he was a very kind and thoughtful supervisor. And so his daughter has put in a thing that she's going to have it at the Crandall Park on June 29th. And most of us that remember Bill can always remember how faithful he was at voting for the train. That was his pet peeve. So if you can make it, I'll remind you all again next month too. I don't want to steal Ron's thunder here, but I was pretty impressed with this. This was a letter to the editor in the Chronicle from Deanna Ream. And she wanted to thank the people who helped collect over 40 bags of trash that were removed from local highways on Saturday, April 27th. They had 20 adults, 11 students, and 2 preschoolers. It was quite kind to those people to police our areas. It's almost a shame that people think that they can just throw their trash out the car windows and the rest of us should pick it up. I guess it's too difficult to go and put it in a receptacle, but I've never found that personally. But thanks to those people in Bolton for doing a nice job for us. Also, just a reminder, August 24th, we're still looking for donations and whole sponsors for the Cornell. Well, it's actually been changed to the Dr. James Seeley Memorial Golf Tournament. It'll be held at Cronin's. We're still looking for tea sponsors and silent auction items. Also, you all got this in your emails from Denise. We have a thing called You Are Not Alone for the outreach to troops that are deployed. They're looking for different items to send. And if you would like, I can find a way that you can get this information to help take care of our troops overseas. And my third is my favorite. The Thunder will be playing tonight. Hopefully they will be playing for the championship of this conference. Many people wrote them off when they went 0-2. For those of us that follow them, we knew they had a great road team, and they proved that the last weekend when they took 3 of 3 games from Norfolk in their home. So tonight they're playing for the championship. Be nice if you could go. If you don't make it tonight, we got one more night. They will be playing also Wednesday. And then later on, I'll give you a brief summary of what I saw at the Civic Center this year. Thank you.
Supervisor Etu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Mr. Taflin said, we had the project advisory group for our comp plan on May 6th. Supervisor Gilligan and I sit on that group, and we're meeting again on June 3rd, same time, same place, Monday, June 3rd, 3:30 at the Warrensburg Firehouse.
Anybody else, any comments? Supervisor Drossy?
Yeah, just a concern about the broadband issues. I brought this up several months ago. See if we get a briefing from the planning department where we are countywide instead of competing against each other. I've had a meeting recently with some residents who still today can't access affordable broadband service. And there's several locations obviously throughout the county. So I would ask again, if we can get an update. There's millions of dollars flows down through the federal government to the state, but when and how does it reach local communities is it's an unknown. So if we can look at this as a county instead of us individually in our municipalities, I think we'd all be greatly benefit from it.
Great. Did you have something? Supervisor Wild, did you have a request?
My request is in relation to the executive session we had on May 2nd. And from my recall, the board was looking for an update today. So if you don't mind, I'd like to have a motion for executive session, a personnel matter, and county attorney, if you don't mind, citing the full legal reason for our executive session.
Well, first we should get a second. If we're going to, is it Supervisor Driscoll? Seconds it, okay.
And I would ask that we just amend the motion to also include that would be under Public Officers Law, Section 105, subparagraph F, regarding matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation.
So we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor going into executive session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
One opposed. Okay, we are in